Stop.
Hello, everyone. Well, we are back every single day trying to educate women going through perimenopause, menopause, and beyond. Today, the topic is supplements, herbal supplements. And to present this topic, we have a truly integrative medicine doctor, MD, from Austin, Texas, Dr. Maltz. She not only combines conventional medicine, but she combines other modalities, holistic therapies such as acupuncture, diet, nutrition, and so many other therapies. So thank you so much for joining me, Dr. Maltz. I'm really grateful. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thanks for having me. I put together a couple slides just to make it, I like visual. It looks really nice. So am I able to share my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
You are. You can
Share
go ahead.
Screen. Okay. So thank you all. I am, as Amita said, I am Ashley Maltz. I'm an integrative medicine physician in the amazing city of Austin, Texas. If you've never been, come visit. Don't move here. We have too many people. But I'm just kidding. But it is getting kind of crowded. But I own my own practice downtown in Austin, Texas. And we have a full array of family medicine services. So primary care, holistic primary care, functional medicine, integrative medicine, full-time acupuncturist. We also offer craniosacral therapy and massage therapy. And our logo / website is West Holistic Medicine. It's down here if you can see my pointer, which is kind of cool. I like that. Okay. Anyway, so I see patients day in, day out struggling with, and the majority of our patients are female. We do tend to go to the doctor more frequently. The studies are very definite in that regard. And so we take care of patients from birth with my other physician who does family medicine to, potentially death. And one of the major issues that most middle-aged women struggle with, and it can happen from even earlier, and I am seeing this in younger patients as well, is perimenopause. Apparently, there's a dearth on information about it, and that's what we're here to kind of combat a little bit. So there are natural ways to treat perimenopause and menopause in general. I want to point out that perimenopause and menopause is a stage. It's a process. It's not usually overnight, although that can happen, such as in like a surgical menopause, or if you go through chemotherapy, you can go into menopause very quickly. Acute trauma, sometimes, brain injury, that kind of thing also can throw off your entire hormone production. So there are certain times when that happens, but the majority of women who go through, everyone goes through menopause at some point. The majority have a long drawn out process. Maybe you start to figure out, see that your cycles are getting a little wonky. They're coming, be more regular, or they're longer. You might start to have decrease in sexual appetite, libido. Might have some hot flashes here and there, or just feeling more hot, things like that. Okay. And you can start at different ages. Now, this is fun. I was doing some research for this talk, and Dr. Jolene Brighton, she's a naturopath in the health and wellness space, and she created this perimenopause symptom bingo. So, raise your hand if you have you forget your keys. You've forgotten your keys. Your brain is just becoming more foggy. And like another one, who needs sex when you have chocolate? Low libido. Totally agree. This is just part of our natural evolution of our hormones. Some people bleed for much longer cycles, and they just have excessively heavy cycles. So there's just different things, joint pain, palpitations. That's, all of these things. Our hormones are extremely important, and they protect us from all kinds of cognitive and cardiovascular issues. They protect against cancer. We really do need hormones in our lives. And when they start decreasing, you can have lots of different symptoms. But my point is, you don't have to suffer, and there are natural treatments that can help. There are also medications that you can take that will be helpful. So just to start off, no talk would be replete without, and I apologize, my dog needs to be needy right now. This is Lexi. So no talk would be replete without, or integrative medicine talk would be replete without dietary and lifestyle strategies, which is where we start hands down every single time. So what we want to incorporate are more of the fiber-rich foods, vegetables, whole grains if you eat grains, lots of legumes, things like that. You want to incorporate lots of high protein foods and less processed foods. You also want to remove alcohol as much as possible. It does not really serve us. Maybe you're utilizing it for stress reduction. Well, that's, a very common thing in our society. However, there are so many other ways to reduce stress, such as exercise, which does have benefit in the perimenopause and menopausal process. Omega-3s, fish oil, I have a slide on that, but fish oil, flaxseed, which also has fiber and protein, walnuts, seeds, other fatty fish, also excellent and anti-inflammatory in all aspects, not just for our hormones. We want to remove sugar as much as possible, another very highly utilized substance in our culture, as well as caffeine, which does a number on our adrenal glands. Unfortunately, we all love, don't get me wrong, I love a good cup of coffee, but that high that it gives us, we have to crash, and it can lead to palpitations and stress hormones on our body. Vitamin D and magnesium, and these should be checked by your practitioners. They should not be, yes, maybe take a little bit every day or go outside for 10 minutes every day. Arms and legs exposed, that would help with the vitamin D situation. Magnesium is very useful for mood disruptions, muscle aches, all kinds of things. I love magnesium. It's my favorite, and vitamin D and omegas. I love them all very much. All right. So more specifically, there are lots of herbs and supplements that can help with perimenopause. And this is a very short list. I had to, we only have 15 minutes together. So I had to kind of get it, bring it down to my favorites. So soy, you do hear about. Soy gets a bit of a bad rap. And granted, there are people who are very reactive to soy. So we don't want to utilize that if that's the case, obviously. But there are studies showing that it can decrease hot flashes by almost 50%, and it does prevent bone loss. So we want to use it from a good source. I really love this brand, Nature's Way. It's, this purple cap they use in clinical trials in this exact dosing. So you don't have to really think about it. You don't have to look for, oh, how many milligrams am I getting? What's the source? It's a good brand. They are USP certified, and which means they're US Pharmacopoeia certified, which is a third-party certification for purity, because a lot of the stuff on the market, unfortunately, does not contain what it says it does. So you do want to work with someone who knows what they're doing and can make these recommendations for you. But beyond that, you can also eat soy. You can eat more tofu. And I always recommend non-GMO sources of tofu or soy in general. This is the actual soybean. You can get them roasted. They're quite yummy. Edamame, everyone knows edamame from, sushi restaurants, and soy milk. So lots of options for soy. It can really decrease. They contain phytoestrogens, which are plant-based estrogens. And that's actually where some of our bioidentical hormones, that replacement therapies come from soy and wild yam. Okay, and that's all synthesized in a lab. So just to give you a little more evidence on that, the women's study for the alleviation of vasomotor symptoms, which AKA is hot flashes, found that a plant-based diet rich in soy reduced moderate to severe hot flashes by 88% and helped women lose on average 8 pounds in 12 weeks. And who doesn't like that result? So, I don't think you have to completely be plant-based. That's up to you, whatever you choose, but just maybe incorporating a little more soy in your diet if you're not sensitive. Chasteberry, Vitex, one of my favorite plants for hormone support in general. So I use this a lot for hot flashes, for women, even cycling women, just to kind of support their hormonal production. It was used in medieval times and got the name, comes from use by monks somewhere in Europe to make them more chaste, to decrease their testosterone basically and make them more less libido thinking. But for women, it's a little bit different because we don't have as much testosterone. It just supports what needs to be supported. So like hot flashes, it can have benefit, anxiety. In some of the studies I looked at, there was no benefit in depression or sexual dysfunction. And you can kind of garner that from what it's used for, chasteberry, being chaste. Some people, it's pretty safe. You don't want to take it with antipsychotic medications or drugs for Parkinson's, and it can cause some mild side effects, as in most situations. But most people tolerate it pretty well, and I really like prescribing or recommending that. Black cohosh, amazing for menopausal symptoms. So if you're starting to have some temperature fluctuations, really helpful. And you can if sleep can be a big type of disruption during this process. So I highly recommend, there are products on the market, and I use one that I love. It's called Remifemin, and it has just black cohosh in one product, and then another has valerian and hops, and these are great for sleep. So black cohosh in and of itself has serotonin-like effect, which can impact the body's ability to regulate temperature, and it can help with hot flashes. Now, the sexual dysfunction part, Maca root is probably one of the better, herbs. So some studies indicate that Maca, it's kind of used for warrior type energy. Like if you think in tribal days, it's used to increase vitality, and along with that comes the sex drive, right? So that's the way I think of it in my head. But it didn't have it was more effective than a placebo in this study, and it reduced psychological symptoms like anxiety and depression. I already mentioned omega-3 fatty acids, very helpful for overall health. We want to, they're anti-inflammatory, come in many different forms and flavors, and you can, work with someone who knows what they're doing and great brands to utilize, because what we don't want are the contaminants that come from fatty fish like mercury, lead, all the things in the ocean that we have been populating it and polluting it with, unfortunately. So you do want a good brand. You don't want it to have been sitting on the shelf for a year and have been heated. So, you have to use a little bit of discernment, but ways to incorporate the fish in your life, or omega-3s, fatty fish like wild caught salmon, nuts and seeds, avocados, and I love, my personal favorite, olives and olive oil. So I could keep going for probably another 45 minutes, but I don't want to take up everyone's morning. I want to thank Nourish Doc for bringing me on for this quick intro to herbs and supplements for perimenopause. If you are struggling, if things are just not working and you're doing things on your own, I do recommend reaching out to a health practitioner to help. There is bioidentical progesterone that can help really regulate your cycles, kind of get you through this very transformative time. And I do recommend, utilizing this time to kind of decrease your workload, decrease your life burdens, really, we're moving into the next stage. And I say this for myself as well. We're moving into the next stage of our lives. And what do we want for the next half of our life? So time to start really going introspective and thinking about all of that. My practice, again, here's the contact info, and you can always, there's contact forms on it, and reach out there. Okay.
All right. Let's open it up for a few questions. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. You are welcome to unmute yourself and talk, as simple as that, or chat, or put it in the chat if any questions.
I guess I'll go ahead. Sorry, this talking about the sleep thing, I just woke up and I remembered that I had this, so I'm literally just woken up. But appreciate the information on the supplements. I know for myself, I've been learning a lot and trying to learn a lot. And what is a struggle for me is my mood and my disposition has been, you think that you're going to be okay and feel like yourself and accomplish things. And then I wake up again and it's just like, okay, well, it's another day. And so that's been really, really difficult. So it's good to hear that there are things, maybe, well, I do the vitamin D and that I feel like I do everything. I feel like I do everything and it's still just, you never know or I never know what my mood is going to be.
Right.
And so that's kind of tough.
Yeah. Well, I would recommend maybe reaching out to your healthcare practitioner or finding someone who does integrative medicine, just to, maybe the dosings are off, maybe you need something else, maybe you need hormone replacement, there's
No,
nothing.
I have that as well. That may be my next question, is there like an ideal ratio that we need to get to? Because the practitioner that I'm working with is just a telehealth, and they say it's a most women do well on this. Most women, and every time I have questions about this feels like too much or this feels like, and they're just like, well, most women do well on this.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, is there like an ideal ratio with the because it almost seems like unless that's good, all the supplements in the world and all the eating well in the world is not doing anything. It just, but then it feels that also increases the feeling of it's useless.
Hopelessness feeling. I think
Yes.
it's complicated. I think there are many, I've had a lot of patients who do great right off the bat. You just add one thing and they're off to the races.
Yeah.
Others struggle quite a bit. And I think that can come down to genetics and the microbiome, and you might have to dig a little deeper with your care, unfortunately. Trauma, there's all kinds of things that play in, toxins in our environments, and there's all kinds of, we could go, a whole.
I know, it's like literally every single thing.
Yeah. So I hope you get it figured out, and just stay positive, don't give up.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I know there's lots to learn as well. So
yeah. There's endless things to learn. Even I'm constantly learning, which is,
I mean, I do find it fascinating. It's just amazing. And I really, truly wish that I had known some of this before, and I had been learning about how we vary on our cycles. And, throughout the month, we don't have the same energy, the same brain function, and the same. And it's really, and so I had an idea of that. And that's actually what kind of helped me start to realize that something else was going on. But it's just really surprising how little information it feels like is out there. And it's endlessly fascinating. I love to continue learning more.
Well, I think that was Amita's whole kind of her story, that she couldn't find great information out there. So she created a website. And
and that's what I didn't get to hear because I didn't have audio, I guess. So I'll listen to it. Yeah. Thank you.
Sure. Jenny and JBM, any questions, any comments, any feedback? We just do a quick 10-15 minute session because everybody is working during this time, and we try to be cognizant of your time. But please unmute yourself or chat before we wrap up today. Any feedback? Okay.
No news is good news, right?
Okay. Yeah, I guess so. I
Yeah.
guess so.
I wonder if there are
All
questions
right.
on the feed, but yeah.
No, I yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Okay, I don't see any questions. Yeah, no, so thank you so much. And thank you, Charlotte, for sharing your story. And I was sharing a little bit of my story with Dr. Maltz before we started the live. But that's what we are trying to do, is really present trusted information from experts such as herself and other experts, from holistic experts. Our first go-to is try holistic therapies. We're not saying don't do HRT. Some women need it, but there are a lot of other things. I don't know if you do breathing exercise. I'm not a doctor, but there's so many mind-body techniques, right? We could go on and on that you could also think of incorporating. Like Dr. Maltz can go on and on for another half an hour on this topic, like we talked about. But thank you so much. Anything else anyone has? That's what we're trying to do: help perimenopausal women, menopausal and postmenopausal women navigate this journey with a little bit of ease by using not only holistic therapies, but also have access to hormone therapy if needed, right? So
Yeah.
thank you. Any last comments from you, Dr. Maltz, before I wrap up?
No, just staying positive, knowing that there's help. And if you're not working with the right person, you know, keep looking. There's always help.
Yeah. And we are going to partner with experts such as Dr. Maltz, and we'll be presenting the, sort of like a helpline for perimenopausal women, who you will have access to the trusted resources, and also can consult with the right professionals. So we are coming up with that. I just wanted to share that information as well. So stay tuned. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.